Merry Christmas.
Hooray!
Welcome to the D-Pad. I'm Rick.
I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Hello from the corner of the fisheye lens. I'm Ben.
And from your other corner, I'm still John.
Yeah, this is Movie Nights at the Roundtable. We're talking about a holiday classic.
And it's a lie because the table's neither round and nor is
no,
it
there's no round
just out of
table
shot.
today.
You can't see it. It's like right down here.
Yeah.
The tables
It's
are
very
round,
circular,
but it
though.
is very
It's actually a sphere.
rectangular.
I don't know how we're going to put stuff on it. That's going to be a problem, actually.
It's
Anywho,
price of art.
We
man.
watched Eddie Lebron's fan film, Mega Man.
Yes.
we
from
watched
2010.
it got watched.
So
That was only 10 years ago.
that was 10 years ago. It was summer, I think, of 2010. I don't
Robot
remember off the top of
technology
my
has
head.
really come a long
I think it
way.
was actually September.
I wasn't there. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. I was there. I was the one who got my head punched off.
You were my
That was
favorite
probably
part.
the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was by
So,
far the best
as
part.
I guess a quick show of hands. So, John, you've seen this before.
I saw some of it. I saw you watching some of it back in the
Okay.
past, which you denied, but I know you did.
Not at the last apartment, but I've seen it in the past.
Okay.
You have seen it before.
No.
No, I
Never-
thought
that
you
was
said you had.
Nope.
Oh.
That was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Interesting, because I thought before it sounded like John hadn't and you had, so I was like, all right, this will be interesting. So this was your first time
No,
altogether.
yeah. Very, very much first time. And I
Okay.
heard you talk about it before and mention it referentially, and I never
Yeah.
really had a concept of what it was. But then it was actually like a full feature fucking length movie.
94-minute movie.
Yeah.
Ben, your first time?
I barely watched it today.
There is, so he'll have a first time in the future.
I
And
don't know if he will.
like John had said, I've seen it before, but I think I've only seen it
I've
once.
seen enough.
Yeah.
Ben and I will have a watch party where we get in PJs together and watch it.
Anytime.
So
Ooh.
does anyone want to dare try to give a quick not like a beat by beat rundown, but like a synopsis of
Yeah,
the movie?
The events
Oh.
of Mega Man 1.
Yeah, I mean, the plot is
Okay,
extremely
well, yeah, but what does that
basic.
mean? What does that mean to people who haven't played Mega Man 1?
So this power couple of robot scientists, madly in love, Dr. Light and Dr. Eisenstein, I want to say, they work together to build helper robots, like butlers, robo butlers. One that like turns on light bulbs, one that like cuts the hedges,
One that makes bombs.
one
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah,
bombs,
one that-
helper bombs.
He's the plumber. He's the plumber.
One of these two Dr. Daddies is very sad because of a failed attempt at having a Dr. Mommy. And so he gets real weird and tries to make robot kids. So he makes
Oh, okay.
Roll and he makes Blues, and Blues is all like, I'm emo, and he runs away and everyone's like cool with it. He's like, I run away.
Yeah,
And
you make a
nobody
creation,
cares.
it literally runs out the front
And he's
door.
like, well,
Yep.
he's got free will. I'm sure it'll be fine. And so, long
You
story
know,
short,
you know how child robots are. They have to express themselves.
Yeah.
Every day.
Dr. Light gets a Nobel Prize for his helpy robots, and Dr. Eisenstein is very angry about this. And then he starts being a dick. So Dr. Light is like, I don't think we want to work together anymore, alternate robot daddy. And he gets all really emo and starts talking like Hitler, Dr. Eisenstein does.
Right.
And then absconds with the helper bots and a bunch of dudes named Joe, presumably a sex cult. And then he starts running rampant in the city and puts his helper robots, who are now harmer robots, I'm going to say. I'm going to go ahead and say that. And they start harming the city. And a new robot child named Rock, made by Sad Daddy, is given powers to go fight the formerly helper harmer robots. And then they do, and somehow throughout the process he learns about his lack of free will and how Blues has free will and is also very good at punching dudes.
so
and,
literally the best.
But bad at picking capes.
Free
and that's,
will-
and that's Mega Man.
Yes.
I think I did it.
All right.
I think
free
I nailed
will, as
that.
it turns out, is inversely proportional to how you're, or I guess it's directly proportional to how hard you can punch.
Right.
But it's inversely proportional
The
to
more
how
f-
bad your core is, your fuel core.
Well, it's
The
free
more
and
free
I will,
you have,
so-
the
Yeah.
better you can punch the heads off of enemy robots.
Yeah.
in the end, it was a tragic tale of two scientists surviving radiation poisoning.
They both, that one of them walked away with just a few surface burns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Wily's
And one became Tim Taylor.
Yeah.
Wily's face was melting off, and Dr. Light was stuck with only one emotion.
Yep.
The rest
Yeah,
of them got melted
just-
away by radiation.
He's
think
Agent Keanu Reeves. just like,
Bemusement.
whoa.
Bemusement.
Smiling while holding
Yeah.
back tears.
Yeah. Also, yeah, but all at once.
Yeah.
I think the best line of our commentary was, he looks like a mid-transition Tim Allen Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He looks like mid-transition Fucking Tim Allen in the Santa Claus.
Oh God! My God!
Merry Christmas.
Oh my God!
The part where he
Wow.
He heard me. That's why
can't
he
stop eating cookies.
Because he really
Can we
fucking
get-
does.
Can we just get the picture of Obama giving himself the Medal of Freedom real quick? Just to, there's no reason. There's no reason, but it's fine.
I may have said that, but it's what everyone laughed at the hardest.
Yes. No.
I'm not
I can't
saying it was a
help
bad
if I
line.
just oozed comedy gold.
I'm not saying it was a bad line. I'm just saying.
Fine. What was your favorite line of our commentary?
But I would like, if possible, to get a screen grab of Tim Allen mid-transition into Santa Claus and compare it side by side
Oh boy.
to Dr. Light.
down to
from
the hair. I mean, it's
Yeah.
uncanny. You know.
So I guess this is probably a good starting point for kind of getting into like judging the film a bit of like
and we will judge it.
the acting quality of our cast is on a wide
Varies.
array of
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with serviceable.
Nope. I would say
most of them, yes.
They were serviceable.
Yeah.
Like they weren't good.
There wasn't a guy standing there doing the Hannibal was it Hannibal Buress? Hannibal Buress bit from Eric Andre show? That's not Hannibal Buress. That's
Hannibal Buress is on the Eric Andre.
Yeah. Where his like character is just a guy and he just everything is just no emotion. It's kind of
I
think the issue is none of these people were actors.
well, yeah,
some
they
of
were
them
just,
some of them I
like,
think were.
I maybe
Yeah.
the reporter. I think overall they all seemed very. I mean, it's a student film, and that's what we have to remember. For a student film, it's fucking amazing.
I think it's a student film. I'm pretty sure it's a student film.
Oh well, that really changes things if it's not. But anyway,
Well, it's a personal
I
project.
think a lot of the
regardless.
actors were his friends and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would have been a senior in college if like based on he was born in 87 at the end of 87, so
Well,
like
he could
odds
have
are he was a
graduated
senior.
by that point.
Yeah, but I mean, it's some kind of a project.
Yeah, but either I mean,
Poster
whatever. Like
around school. Yeah.
for a low budget film made
Yeah.
mostly by friends and family, it seems pretty good.
I would
think
say-
the acting is the weakest point, other than a couple of unfortunate costume choices.
Out of the physical in-person actors, I would not be surprised if Roll, Dr. Wily, and maybe Fireman were all like actors.
Fireman seemed like he actually like had some vague stunt ability.
Yeah, but also
Yeah,
like
he's the one, like,
loaded and stuff.
he
Yeah,
got hit and he like did a flip backwards
Yeah.
or something like that.
He looked like he
and,
auditioned for Power Rangers and got really close but didn't get it.
Yeah,
Well,
there was some
actually,
some putty acting there.
Fireman.
yeah, he
that
might
was-
have been like, for a putty.
Yeah,
That was the
funny.
smartest thing
In
about
2010,
Fireman.
that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like one of those, like, like Power Rangers Cars series or whatever. They had like dinosaurs and then ninjas.
They
and
transform
then I think they
into
had, like,
cars. Is that what Power Rangers is now?
Yeah.
That's a different show.
Power
I don't know if
Rangers.
you're-
Power Rangers more than meets the eye.
They had different.
More than just.
I'm
four
totally
guys.
right here. There's different kinds of power. They weren't just
No,
dinosaurs.
you're right. You're right. They started as dinosaurs, then they became less cool
well, hang on,
old
no.
animals.
No, now you're thinking Beast Wars. The Power Rangers were never dinosaurs.
No.
Well,
no.
they get
You're
into
gaslighting
dinosaur
him.
robots.
You stop it, Dr. Wily.
And then they were specifically ninjas.
They were
Yes.
definitely ninjas.
Yep. No, I'm pretty sure they were also Dino Force, like Power Rangers Dino
Oh,
Force.
they're on their fourth series where there's dinosaurs.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah.
The first one, they all got into dinosaur robots.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
Rick's
then
just fucking with
there's
you.
other ones.
Don't listen to him.
Just say when I hear the Power Rangers were dinosaurs, I got to respond to that. That's all.
You're
Like, not the mama, right? They were that kind of dinosaurs.
Oh, Christ.
Fucking hated that kid.
So we're talking about Power Rangers now.
Because
Yeah, this
Flame
is
Man
now
was
Power
kind of
Rangers. Well,
like
alright.
a Power Ranger.
So
actor.
so those three were easily the best actors in the entire movie. As for the
I
less,
keep saying Roll was good. Roll
I
wasn't
think
good,
Roll was
bro.
fine. I think you don't
She
like
was
her
awful.
characterization, but she acted perfectly.
I think that it's lucky that her character had that characterization, that she's supposed to be a little like weird, bubbly, and flighty, and like not totally like. She the whole time her eyes were like as wide as they could possibly
I think that was
be.
part of the idea. That was like she's just this bright-eyed kid who's just like,
Yeah, but
I will say you're
don't
right if you'll
necessarily-
concede that she's a sex bot.
no, what? No,
Because she's
Stop.
acting wide-eyed and void and vacant and like
What
unaware.
kind of sex bots do you have?
yeah,
that kind.
I mean, all kinds. I have a wide collection, of course, but you know.
the whole spectrum. Yeah,
The three of the I wish Wily didn't have the German accent because he
He seemed like he
wandered
maybe
a lot.
could almost act a little.
Dude,
He definitely could act, but I think the accent was distracting him too much.
I think Wily was the best actor. It was the most interesting person to watch on screen
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, in fact, I think we said we were rooting for him at one point.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all the other characters were 2x4s.
I think the biggest difference to me for Roll and Dr. Wily, and part of the reason I lean a little bit Roll-wards, is that Dr. Wily was not directed well. I think that
I don't think he did anything well.
think the acting. I think the acting generally was fine. The dialogue was meh, but like the directing constantly was like, yeah, but more of that. Oh, you got to roll your eyes. Make sure your eyes are as far up in your head for as long as you can.
He was trying. He was doing his best.
He was
Wily-
trying, and that's fine.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at the like characterization of Mega Man, it is bright and like over the top, and Wily in every game and cartoon is like, I'm going to do some evil science.
Yeah.
And like he's got, this personality that's over the top. So I feel like he went the direction of like traditional Wily.
like, let's do that. But like, yeah.
But like Dr. Light was just like weird stone face the whole time, and like
my robots
literally
are Nobel Prize winning.
the whole
Rock, you
town
can't do
shook,
that.
and a giant castle elevated into the sky, and he went like this.
Oh, wow.
Just looked up at the drop
Oh, my.
ceiling in his office with no facial expression, no movement, just went.
Actually,
That
speaking
is
of which, do you
bad.
know? Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Do you know what time it is?
And Rick, I got to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, it's so good to see you
Great.
again.
Glad you're here, Jeff.
I think we should talk about the directing. Usually we don't get really into directing when we do these movies, but this is one where I feel like there's a strong like sense of, I don't know, most of the movies we watch are solid enough directed that like you don't really think about the directing. You consider like, oh, the acting and the job they're doing, but I feel like there's a disparity and there's like a break in some spots.
Do you specifically mean the way the director is directing the actors? Because the direction of the movie is serviceable in a lot of ways.
So like the direction, the directing of shots was definitely like a, here's what we have to do. Like who I think he was also the DP for the thing, and it's like there were definitely some shots that were
Sure, he did
super
most of it.
close cropped.
Yep.
because
Oh,
they
yeah.
just couldn't.
I think those, they were just using whatever space they had
Right.
available.
Yeah,
It didn't work for.
So was he making the
Yeah.
best of a bad situation with that, or was he just
think
making
so.
bad decisions? So you could make the same question for the actors.
Well, they green
right?
screened them for stuff like Mega Man fighting Iceman, but they kept the shot super close cropped for some reason, even though they didn't really have to at that point.
I think that like a lot of the crops and a lot of the tight angles on the faces were because they were reading as cool posters in the background of the library that they were shooting in. Like I'm sure that there were things right off screen that they asked, like, can we take this stuff down? And they were like, oh no, you can't.
No,
In the house, there were a bunch of family photos that were just on the wall.
That was somebody's
spot.
house.
That was like
that
little,
worked on the
was-
production.
Yeah.
That was like his mom's house.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably.
and they didn't either want to or consider spending, a couple bucks on printing out. Like, it doesn't have to be photo quality. If it's in the background and blurry, no one will ever know the difference. Just go to your school printer, print out a couple, just take a couple shots of your Dr. Light in like nice poses and things, or like couple here's like just a shot of Roll smiling, and just stick them in there, just slide them in the front, and then when it's time to go, you just slide them right out and you're good. But like instead, there's just family photos and stuff in the background, and
I think the
Yeah.
director made the most of what they had. I think
I think
that's,
so
yeah.
too.
Yeah. I don't think that there were like a lot of really
It just
intense
resulted
mistakes.
Yeah, it just resulted in like, wow, there's a lot of really close shots. Like
Yes.
claustrophobic feeling whenever anyone was talking.
Yes.
And like you'd see like the back of someone's head in the shot of the other person talking, or like their shoulder, and like
which is
Yeah,
fine, but
a lot of over-the-shoulder
it's weird
shots.
when they said like there's a point where Dr. Light and Dr. Wily are having their discussion where Wily like leaves after he's like, oh, I'm gonna build.
yeah, and it pans behind the back of his head and
Yeah.
like follows him, and
Which
Dr.
is like-
Light's head is right there.
Which is like if you shoot the whole scene like that, it can feel appropriately claustrophobic. Like if you're like a tense discussion or an argument, if you're shooting that, you want both heads to be in the shot to make it feel really claustrophobic and tight and tense.
For that, the actor playing Dr. Light would actually be able to would have to display intensity.
Well, that
Yes.
well, that too, but also like if you start doing shots and it's just Wily by himself, to suddenly have Dr. Light's head just kind of like
Yeah.
into the blurry foreground of that, and the last shot is like stuff like that is sort of like that kind of like has a weird effect on the whole scene.
I think it's interesting to point out, like, as you go through the movie, that there are certain shots that were very obviously, like, planned out and staged, and they looked at it and stepped back and moved the camera and looked at it and were like, yes, that's it. That's your light. Stay there.
Mm-hmm. All the ones in darkness for Dr. Wily, for example.
Yes. And then there are absolutely shots where they just pulled out the camera and were like, all right, you come in from that way and you come in from that way and then say something cool to each other and start the fight. It was like most of the writing was serviceable insofar as, like, it sounded like sentences and it moved the story ahead. But
High
like
praise.
yeah, but there are a couple of moments where somebody came, like there was one scene in particular where Mega Man saved Roll when she got like hyper pushed out of the building.
Oh yeah,
and fell 1,000 feet in 1/4 of a second.
Yeah.
He like picks her up and helps her, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." You helped me, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, you really need to just have one specific line for her to say. Like, don't have them improv suddenly out of nowhere, because that scene so obviously it was not staged or like written or anything.
I think they were trying to go for like her being kind of in shock from that thing, but still just like cut it off one sooner. Be like, well, you saved me, thank you. Thank you. Like, just kind of like the realization, like, oh my God, I almost just fucking died.
You
like,
can tell from her delivery, it wasn't like, oh God, thank you. It was, she was like, thank you so much.
Shot still going, thank you.
It was great.
Thank you.
Saving you did.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the action scenes were really, I mean, again, it's an amateur film, so it's like I can't expect like Jackie Chan level stunts, but like a lot of them looked pretty uncomfortable. A lot of them, even the CG robots looked uncomfortable in their skin.
That's the
I'm
thing.
not really sure how that happened.
We should really split this part into like talking about the live action fight scenes and the CGI robot master
I
fight
don't
scenes.
think they were that different. I think the problems with Mega Man were the same in all of them.
The problems with Mega Man are the same for all of those. Yes.
So I think again, some of them were staged and thought out ahead of time, like the one with Electro Guy.
Elecman.
He's Elecman.
Electro
The
Guy.
one with Electro Guy, where he like they have a fight and then he like picks him up and zaps him and he's like, you're nothing, and he drops him and Mega Man's on the ground like struggling. Like that was that was planned, that whole fight
which
scene.
I think is
that
meant
might
to
have
be,
even been storyboarded.
I think that one's meant to be a callback too, because in the first fight, in the quick fight where he goes up against all 6 of them
and wipes the floor with
and
them,
fucks them up, he picks Elecman up by the armpit. It's kind of a weird move, but he picks him up and he's like, I don't want to fight you, I don't want to do this. And he's just like, too bad.
It's because he was stepping on a step stool at that point and trying to make it look
well,
like
yes, I'm saying like Elecman then picking Mega Man up during their one-on-one fight might be a callback to that as kind of like, oh, now who's winning?
Yeah,
kind
more
of thing,
credit to the
nice,
idea that was designed. But like the action shots of like Mega Man falling down, the camera following him to the ground, like that was planned. The one with Fireman, they just kind of were like, all right, go punch each other.
Go punch each other, yeah.
So, okay, like, what do we actually think of the movie, though? We're just pointing out a bunch of stuff that wasn't perfect, but, like, how'd you feel about the actual experience?
It was good.
It's the middle, the from 30 minutes to 80 minutes has a tendency to suffer from video game movie-itis, where everything feels structured in a level boss kind of way. Less so with levels in this, because it's literally just, 6 boss fight kind of deal. But it's like
a movie based on Mega Man should get a pass for that.
I mean, to an extent. I guess I just mean like, I don't know. The framing of it is very like, all right, here we go. Here's your fight with this person. Here's your fight with this person. All right, we've left. We've come back. Here's a fight. Like, I don't know. Something about it. It doesn't. There's not a lot of flow in the back half of this movie.
It takes a lot of creativity to take something mechanical from a video game that's like a touchstone, like the Circle of Powers with Mega Man, and make it like make sense logically in the plot.
And like, they were just like, hey, it's like rock paper scissors. Some of these powers are good against the others.
Yeah. Bomb is good against all.
They would have been better off either. They would have been better off either like implying, but like. When we built Cutman, we had to cut a few corners, on budget, and so his skeletal frame is like really weak. See if you can exploit that, or something that's a little more like subtle.
Gutsman is built out of a super strong alloy, and you have to.
But it's got a low melting point.
I feel like you don't even address that at all.
Or that's the other solution.
Just like, hey, Mega Man, right?
Yeah.
You
can just go like, Mega
can,
Man figured out a way to win the battle.
You can just show him like trying a few things, some don't work, and then one works. If you need to show anything,
that was the other thing. As the battles went on, I don't know when it started. I think it was
Bomb
around like
became
number
the
3
only
or 4.
option.
Well, one, bomb became the only option, but also he started trying every single weapon for every fight,
Yeah.
and it was always like wrong, got it. Wrong, got it. Wrong,
Like, you have to
got
think
it.
of how
It's
the
like-
mechanics tell a story, right? So in a game, the mechanics are you try to fight Gutsman, but you don't have his weakness, so you get your ass kicked, and you as the player have to go fight someone else, figure out who you can beat, then realize that, oh, now I have a different thing to try against Gutsman, right? So it doesn't have to be literally rock, paper, scissors. It's the journey of you trying, failing, learning, going back. It's kind of like the hero's journey, right? So you could have worked that into it in a much more elegant way than like, it's rock, paper, scissors. You know?
Hang on.
You know what I'm saying?
No, he fell, but he got back up. Fire. He just does.
That was the best scene where he just shook his head like, nope, I'm a
It's
robot.
not
Yeah.
this one.
Voice acted,
Fire
by the
against
way.
metal does nothing.
Gutsman, voice acted by Sonic Mega, Sean Chiplock, who is currently the voiceover of Wily in Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, among
He's really
a bunch
done
of
well
other
for himself.
stuff.
This was a real stepping stone for him, huh?
This is
Yeah,
actually
so-
part of the legendary Let's Play, not a part
Yeah.
of the Mega Let's
So
Play.
that'll be the
Like this rate, yeah.
this by the time this comes out, that'll be probably the third time that we've heard his voice on this channel, like third distinct thing.
And the third time you've heard my
Despite,
voice on the channel.
Despite all the gripes that we have,
The
I-
gripes of wrath.
I had no idea what this was going to be. But, Rick was like, "Hey, you want to watch this Mega Man thing?" I was like, "Sure, I can watch a thing." I thought it was going to be like a TV show. I had no fucking idea. So it starts, and I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be awful." And it turned out quite a bit better than awful.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just simply bad.
I enjoyed it, but I think it's because of this format.
Yeah.
I think it was charming. Like, obviously, there were rough edges, and, like, you
Right.
know, it's a B movie.
It's bad for a movie, but like for what it like in context, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
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 Like, it's no Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
but it was good for what
mean,
it
I
is.
will say,
I unironically enjoyed it, though. I wasn't
Right.
just because it was like, this is goofy and kitschy.
I don't know if I ever got to the
so-
point of truly, like, being invested.
Yeah,
I
Eddie-
kept, it
fucking
kept removing me from its moments.
It was silly
Eddie,
as hell.
Eddie Lebron, in the time since then, I think 3 years ago, got and won an Emmy for his editing.
An Emmy or a daytime Emmy?
I mean, I don't know which one it would have
That's
been.
a good question. It's still an Emmy.
It is still an Emmy
Yeah,
for
I
I
don't
think it
got
was
an
a
Emmy.
I think it was a thing on like 5 years after Sandy Hook, is or maybe that was Hurricane
was
Sandy.
that the like video
The
project?
5 years
that he
after
got
Sandy? Yeah,
Okay.
could have been Hurricane. I don't know, but he won an Emmy for that. And I will say the editing in this movie was probably the strongest of the things that he directly was
Yeah.
responsible
Yeah.
for
Actually,
between
yeah,
the writing
yeah.
and the shooting.
The
And,
editing
yeah.
was pretty spot on. Like,
And just think,
things that scenes lasted for exactly how long they were supposed to last, and like it kept a good pace as you go along. So
you know.
yeah, a couple of little gripes there, but you're right overall. I think also, like, think of how ambitious this is, right? For
for sure.
For a student
Yeah.
or even an amateur film, like, really ambitious. And the CG, like, there have been real box office releases with CG worse than what we saw today.
Yeah,
You
that
know
was.
what I mean, like,
it was the real like looking robot kind of deal.
I think the two things that would improve it a lot would be one, just kind of doing something different with the textures. There were a lot of
Yeah.
like big, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like rough, but a smooth kind of rough. Like everything had this kind of like worn rubber kind of look to it.
and also just do more in the dark. That's the secret to CG.
That's it,
yeah,
Stop
that's
being
easy
in
too.
broad daylight.
Yes.
And just motions, but that's an obvious one. Like if you're not like really skilled with 3D animation, then everything's kind of
Yeah.
and like yes, they're robots, but there's a certain level of everything is still whoop whoop whoop. It's
Yeah,
like,
I can't
it's
tell if it
still-
was awful mocap or awful animation or
I think it
some
was-
ungodly hybrid of both.
I
but
think it
yeah.
was animation. I would be surprised if basically any of that was done with mocap.
I was impressed at how well Mega Man interacted with the CGI characters. Like generally,
He catches a punch from Gutsman, and like it's done in a way where it's slightly concealed,
Yeah.
but it's done convincingly.
and when the Yellow Devil almost squishes him to death, like I kind of bought that when he just goes like,
I don't know that one. That's one
That
of the
was pretty
sillier ones to
silly.
me. If him just kind of
Yeah,
Well,
and like I get every time he gets hit with a blast of energy, he's like,
yeah,
like, it's like I know they can't just knock this guy across
Yeah.
the,
My-
yeah, they
my-
don't
my
have the
favorite part was
wires
when
to,
Elect
like-
Man kicks him.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he really fucking kicked him.
God.
And I
got
like
to
that.
invest in a lot more like harnesses that people that you can get three people to go "Huh," and like get you in the
drag
rack
it back.
to-
Yeah.
Gotta get some of those going.
But that's more to the budget.
More
like
time,
you got to hire
more
those people.
work.
You got to set up that rig. You
you
got to
got a green you got a green screen or otherwise like composite out
Mega Man's
Anybody in the
classic
background?
maneuver of run to the right and then run to the left and then run back to the right to dodge all of the bullets that are shot
Those
at
are really
him.
funny, yeah. Just kind of like whoop out of the way.
The sprite,
But like with a little bit of a budget like this, I feel like this would have been like pretty
budget was
good.
big, yeah. Budget was probably one of the like maybe the number one limiting factor.
Yeah,
on this for sure.
for sure.
Budget, time, and like a little bit more directorial like finesse.
Juice.
Yeah, I think the sprites were kind of interesting. I don't know if they were necessarily bad, but they were not used in a way that were different from going like,
Right.
Yeah, that's
They
There were some
probably
of those,
shouldn't
yeah.
have been there at all.
Yeah.
that's the one of the things, and like references to the game and like tongue-in-cheek things, those are okay.
Yeah.
When you literally put the like video game screen on the like screen that you're looking at, like the little circle of faces, I was like, oh come on.
And they went that far, but then they fucking played Contra.
yeah,
that was
Play
so
Mega
strange.
Man.
They played Contra, which as we were talking about, it's a Konami game, so it's not even a Capcom game. Like, have them play Street Fighter or something. Like,
and he died in the first level with like 2,800 points.
Yeah.
What a
Holy
noob.
shit, he
that was
sucks.
literally them recording, going, okay, we have to like play badly and die. Okay, where's the first pit? Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
there
they
we go.
just
I got
jumped
this.
in the fucking pit.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like the best way to handle those like sprite moments would have been to not use the sprites but reimagine and reshoot them. So like there's a spot where you see Mega Man's face like it is in Mega Man 2 when you're doing level select. So don't just take the sprite, reconstruct that little pipe thing, and then just like have a like carefully lit shot of Mega Man's head with the helmet on, just looking straight at the camera.
Now, if they did that, you'd be complaining about that too.
No, I think especially because he's in the middle of making a copy of him. I think they could have made that work in a way that blended a little better into that. I think. I don't know.
I just feel like we're nitpicking on the movie.
It's a movie review. That's the idea.
yeah.
Yeah. But we're not actually talking about the overall feel of the movie. We're just talking about like
Yeah, we are.
little things they did that we didn't like.
Well, they did that a few times though. They did it at least 3
Yeah.
times, plus the Contra game, depending on how you want to gauge that in there.
Well, I think it's like reasonable, and this is the interesting part of the movie because the plot was Mega Man.
Yeah.
It wasn't a blockbuster full of like Hollywood trained actors. It's obviously not going to be my new favorite movie of all time.
No.
But it's fascinating because of all these little choices and what they had to do to make it work. And like Mega Man's armor is just lacrosse pads that are shiny.
I thought that worked
Like-
better than I was expecting it to.
It was fine.
For Mega Man, it looked fine. For the other
Yeah.
3 Robot Masters, it looked a little bare bones.
I like the guy
Sure.
that was just going out paintballing. Who was that?
Yeah.
Flame
yeah.
Man?
He just had a paintball mask on.
That was pretty great.
Yeah.
But they did literally set his head on fire. So
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That was pretty impressive.
He
Of all
died.
of all the things that they could have done, because like I was looking for it, 'cause I'm like, is that an effect, or is that? And it's like the way that it, like, you can see the curve of the helmet with it too, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
think they're doing that for real. I think they put some like
I think so.
some like kerosene or whatever on like the top of that and went, all right, we've got a little thing there. Get ready. Here we go. We're gonna do it for 3 seconds, and we're gonna towel out. We got a wet towel for your
Yeah.
head. So
Yeah.
you ready?
If-
Here we go.
If not, that was definitely the best CGI in the whole
If it
movie.
wasn't if it was CGI,
Even-
that was the best in the
Even
movie.
later when he was doing fireballs, like that was
Yes.
CGI. That looked pretty
looked-
good.
yeah.
That fire plug-in was really, really
the
worth
fire
the money.
stuff looked great. The electricity stuff was like stock standard Premiere.
That was
like,
awful.
lighting tool, which is a
Yeah.
little bit less.
Not blended
There were
into the
some that it
scene.
worked better.
The explosions
but-
were kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, how about this? I
Yeah.
want everyone to go around and say who your favorite character was and why.
Favorite character?
Oh.
Okay.
Wily, of course. Yeah. Like
All right.
he's the actor. That actor was trying the hardest of any of them.
Yep. And got
And-
closest to doing it right.
Yeah, and like he was over the. So like I think maybe the problem is that he was too close to being cartoony when everyone else was like grounded in real.
Yeah.
Ness.
Too much.
We
so.
haven't
But
talked
I
about.
found him to be the most interesting.
we haven't
by far.
talked about his weird sex computer.
Olga
Oh,
was
yeah,
my
what the
favorite
fuck
part.
was
as a
that?
person with a penchant for Polish women.
What was that all about?
I missed the very first introduction of her. Is she just literally
She's
his like
just-
operating system on his
Yeah.
computer?
Yeah.
There was no reason to have that
don't
in
know.
this movie
And
at
she
all.
called him an asshole too.
Yeah, the last thing you see of her is her calling him an asshole.
Yeah, because he was like, "Well, I don't need you anymore. Goodbye," and she's like, "Fuck you."
Asshole.
That I think was just the director having a laugh.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know.
It was just like, what?
I
She
think
didn't
that-
like come up with an idea. She didn't
No.
like build a thing
I
for
think
him.
that was just like, what would like a sad science guy have on his computer? Of course, it would be like a sultry
Bratislavin
lady.
sex
Yeah.
computer.
I don't know.
I think the most underrated character was Dave the cameraman.
Oh, in the news shot.
Yeah.
Just all he does is show up. Oh,
Yeah, that was super weird.
and then the second it's over, walk out the door, and that's all you ever see of this guy.
Yep.
Their bickering was like the worst peas and carrots I've ever
Yeah.
seen. You know?
Yeah.
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. Very mad at you.
Not to mention, I feel like is that tropey? Does that feel tropey that like the news crew hates each other until it's time to work, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
and then
pretty
the
much.
second the
It feels
camera's
tropey,
off,
but I can't think of any other examples, so I don't know.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I can't think of any.
April
other
O'Neil
band.
got along with her camera guy.
I guess Groundhog Day. I guess that kind of works. Yeah.
Jeff and Rick, did you have different favorite characters?
For me, it's
Yeah.
between
Audible
Wily and Roll, but it's
sigh.
probably Wily because Wily had more fleshed out stuff. I think Roll was acted overall better, but she didn't have any like significant depth to her. I think Wily had some actual depth. They failed the landing on a couple things that would have made Wily more interesting as a person and a character, but they were trying harder for Wily than basically anybody else.
Yeah.
So if I was portraying a statue
Yeah.
and I did a really good job, would you say that I could be the best actor in the movie?
I mean, if yes, I don't.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand why you can defend Roll. I just feel like Roll like almost could have just not been in the movie and it would have been fine.
I feel like she's
She
kind
had-
of meant to be the emotional heart.
She had
of
to get kidnapped.
that too. I don't love that she got kind of reduced to just being the damsel in distress,
Yeah,
and then
right.
was not seen again until everything was resolved. Like they could have had her help out with something.
I love how he was like, I've taken Roll and I'll keep her hostage. And the moment he shows up, she's like, goodbye. And they
Yeah.
just shove her out the airlock.
Yeah.
Well, there's like
What was your plan?
I think the idea is that she's meant to be the kind of the not diametric, but like the counterpart as a mentor figure for Rock, where you've got Dr. Light, who's very like, you must learn things and you're going to be useful for the betterment of society. And Roll's like, I want to teach you how to dance. I want to teach you how to play video games. You're going to learn how to braid hair. You got to learn stuff that is like makes you more complete as a human being.
Yeah, I guess. So to answer the question, I think my favorite character was probably Wily, but also Blues. I really like.
Actually,
I
Punch
really-
Man.
Well, not just because he's the strongest robot ever created, with the greatest ability ever given to a robot.
He lost 4 years of his life doing that.
But he felt appropriately like stoic and kind of, I don't even know how to put it.
The dialogue scene with him and Light, when he's like, I can fix your core, right? And he's like, no, free will's the best thing you ever gave me.
Yeah.
I really
Yes.
like having free will. If you try to take free will away from me, I'll be upset. I like my free will. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, all
that
right.
There
whole-
were a lot of instances of the dialogue containing the same word multiple times.
Yeah.
And that it's
The-
minor, but it bugs
the
me.
dialogue
Yeah.
writing was a little bit stiff in that regard.
Well,
There was not a
it
lot
was
of-
functional and simple in that you knew exactly what was going on and you knew
Yeah.
what the crux of the dialogue was.
even yelling over all the dialogue, like we were able to follow.
Yeah, we were missing a lot
Yeah,
there.
you don't
Yeah.
miss anything because they're only talking about what's happening in the scene.
I know this is like such a dumb thing to get stuck on, but we kind of brought it up while we were watching. Is like for one, like Proto Man's got more of a scarf thing than a cape. They went with a cape, which is fine. They're reimagining these
I didn't
characters
see
anyway.
that.
No,
which
they
is
went
fine,
with a
but
bright yellow bed sheet.
Yes,
that's the thing.
it
Is
just
like
came out of
they went with
nowhere.
a like Crayola yellow, like 100 0 yellow, thin like prop cape thing, and it's like if you're gonna if there are a few things in this movie that would be worth spending a bit extra on to make it flashy, especially if you're gonna have the
Yeah. See
like
that
the hero shot. Buy a silk scarf, like buy a legit long silk
And his
scarf, and
costume-
just
yeah.
spend the extra dollars on
And-
that because it'll make that shot look a lot better if you've got a legit like.
It was
And-
pretty great, like how someone was very obviously holding the cape off screen.
Yes, yeah, just kind of fluttering it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like
I'm the wind.
I mean, it's a missed
They
opportunity.
did okay with it. I think they actually did all right with it, all
fine,
things
yeah.
considered. But
I mean, so it's a missed opportunity where that cape kind of a lot like a lot of things in this movie.
yeah,
The cape just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it comes out of nowhere because it's like, oh, it's Blues, it's
Yeah.
Proto Man, like that's his thing.
it's not something that like would make if he's going to battle, he's not like, wait, hang on, I need my cape.
Yeah,
Like
it would have been much cooler if they had built some sort of background for it. Like, that scene where he's first activated and he's like kind of freaking out.
Yep.
Like it could have been the sheet that was over him when he was first activated, and they like
Or-
pull it off his
Congratulations, you
face.
just put more thought into this movie than
or
the
hell,
creators did.
Yeah.
maybe it's an accent that he just has once he's out in the real world. He just has a silk scarf that he likes to wear, and he
Yeah.
decides he's not going to get rid of it just as he's going to battle. battle.
The first thing he does when he gets free will is he goes and he sees a mannequin with a scarf on, and he's like, "That looks cool," and he goes and gets a scarf.
He wears a bunch of like human clothes, and he just has a silk scarf.
Yeah, and he marries the mannequin.
So like that's what I like about video game movies, where they take some of this hand waving logic or this mechanical function of the game,
just a little bit of justification.
Give it a little more than it is. Yeah, because him just coming out with the cape was like, he's got a cape now.
Okay, he's wearing a superhero cape.
Yep.
All right, so now overall letter grade, Ben.
Overall letter grade, I think, is like a C.
Oh, okay, just a C. Gotcha.
I was like C minus. No, C.
I'd give it a C plus. Like I can give it some some forgiveness over the limitations they had, but at the end of the day, as an overall experience, it's like it's fine. It's not something I'm going to sit down and watch on a random weekend, like just whenever. But
I would give it a B for effort.
B
for Beffert?
Effort.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
It's an A for a one-semester student film or a D minus for a blockbuster release. My personal experience was somewhere around a C.
It's an F for like a.
It's an F for
like
a
theater release.
Yeah, but
And
it wasn't
a C
really
for
like that's not what it is.
It was released on Vimeo and
best
YouTube.
friends.
So like, and I think it first showed up at like a film festival kind of thing, and then he put it on Vimeo and YouTube.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And for that, I give it a C.
yeah.
Like I said,
Like if we made
You
that,
give it
would
a C,
be an
you
A.
say.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not even being an asshole. Like if we made that with
it's-
like what we know in our equipment and our friends, that would be an impressive feat.
that's actually a good way to.
If a real movie studio made it, it needs a lot of work.
That's a good way to frame it,
Yep,
because if
exactly.
that had been our project, like if the D-pad was like, we're gonna make a Mega Man fan film, and
I'd
it
be
came
super-
out
I'd
like
be super
that,
proud of
I'd
it.
be so proud of
If
it.
if we came up with that, I'd have a million boners.
Just
I'd
be
I'd just be like, that's so great.
so high on
once.
it. Yeah, and for us who are generally critical of stuff, to be like, that was charming, and like
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. Like,
I
that's
don't want to. I don't
hell
mean to
of a
like shit all
compliment.
over it. It's more just a matter of like, all right, you're trying to look
just
at it
being
from the view
realistic.
of
Yeah,
a few different perspectives.
That's why
Yeah.
I think nitpicking the like, oh, did you notice in that scene they obviously didn't write dialogue? It's not to like
Yeah.
stab at the movie. It's to be like, it makes sense because this is some of the production was a little slapdash.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
just
I
how
like
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
You know?
Slapdash.
CJ and Felice, what did you
It's a
guys
good
think of
work.
the movie? Talking to the mic.
What movie?
Exactly.
Don't think. Give me an answer. What'd you say?
What movie?
Who was your favorite character?
Just like give me a letter grade for the movie experience.
Was it Mega Man?
It was Proto Man.
Oh,
Good call.
Same.
Very
He's
good
our
call.
fan favorite
Yeah, very good
second.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
punch the guy's head right
Did you
off.
know? Yes. Okay. Favorite robot master ability. Go, John.
Oh, also easy.
Bomb.
Okay,
No,
Rick.
what?
Favorite
No.
robot master.
Fireman.
Bomb was
Oh, Fireman looked the best, but Bomb was OP.
no. I
Oh,
mean ability.
the weapon,
Yeah,
the weapon
actual
itself.
weapon itself.
Proto Man scarf.
That was a
That
weak
was in
point.
there.
We wanted to like it.
Yeah.
But it was a yellow
Does-
bed sheet.
Does Proto
It's
Man?
got to be the
That
bomb.
was Tweety
the
Bird
only one that
yellow.
actually was useful for literally anything. I
Well,
think.
Okay.
hold on now. Does Proto Man's punch count as an ability?
No,
Ben has the
He
correct
learned that.
answer.
What about Gutsman's ability to pick things up?
he doesn't do that.
He actually does.
He literally, I don't
Yeah,
think, picks
he-
anything
Oh,
up.
you're still talking about the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't see
He
it.
He should have
shoved-
picked up a car.
He should have picked up a car.
He shoved a Mega Man into the wall once.
Oh,
You guys saw that where he pushed him against the
I
bricks?
can't do that.
Yeah. That's a threat right
all right.
there.
I think we're kind of like.
We need to shoot this puppy.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining
Why?
us for this little. Yeah.
It's been 42 minutes, and CJ and
Why would
Felice
you
are
shoot a
patiently
puppy?
watching.
Yeah,
us.
I recommend checking.
No, we just
yellow
got here. We're in
joke.
You can-
Dunkin' Donuts. Don't listen to John.
we can. There will be a link to the video in the description because you can watch this on YouTube and Vimeo and on MegaManFilm.com.
Yeah, for some fun, I recommend checking it out. It was actually enjoyable.
Yeah, you'll be able to watch it in full and also without us talking all over it. So
Yeah.
There you go.
thank
But
you guys.
definitely watch it that way, because I feel like I would not have
Yeah.
had as much fun if we weren't doing this.
that way
you know.
first.
We'll catch you guys later.
All right,
Merry Christmas.
bye.
We love you.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Good movie.
All right. Yeah, that was Mega Man.